Hey guys, what's going on? It's me, Jimmy. Today, we're talking about Juno First, the goddamn arcade game. So without further ado, let's jump right into it, yeah? So Juno First is an absolutely amazing arcade game. It's been lost to arcade game history. When people talk about arcade games in the classic era, people usually talk about Defender, Galaxian, Joust, Saxon, games like that. Games just like that. No one ever really talks about this game, which is an absolute bummer because this game is absolutely amazing and this game deserves to be talked about. So, without further ado, let's roll a trailer for this game. Or, you know, the attract screen. What? There's no trailer for it? There's no attract screen either? I mean, we can roll the attract mode, right? Can we? You know, like, roll that at least. Alright guys, so let's talk about the history of Juno First. So Juno First actually has an incredibly not detailed history. Believe it or not, there's really not much information out on Juno First except that, well, this is actually a Konami developed and published game. Here, that's pretty much the only thing I can find on this game. Developed, published by Konami in 1983. There were ports to this game on the Commodore 64 and the Atari 8-bit by a man called Greg Hiscott. Greg Hiscott was the man who actually ported this game over to those two consoles. Other than that though, really not much information on this game. So without further ado, let's actually jump right into the graphics. How does this game look? How does it sound? Well, it's an early arcade game. The graphics aren't insanely mind-blowing, but the use of color in this game I do really enjoy, especially the explosions. When you blow stuff up, or when you're blown up, or when you teleport or warp. This game looks absolutely fun. It is an absolute frantic game. Honestly, there's really not much else I can talk about this game in terms of graphics. The sound design in this game, though, is top notch. The sound design is absolutely great. When you fire the laser, it feels oh so satisfying to fire that laser. Just mashing down that button just feels so goddamn great. And as you can see on screen, just the explosion sound effects, as you'll hear in a moment, sounds absolutely great. Just especially when you die. I mean, when you die in games, it's usually not, usually not something you want to do. But just the explosion sound effects and just the way it looks absolutely rad. Just oh, so stellar, man, so goddamn stellar. So, next up, we will actually talk about the gameplay in this game. How does the game actually play? How does it feel to play this game? So, as I mentioned earlier, this game is actually a frenetic shooter by Konami in 1983. You control a ship. Really, there's no plot in this game. Really not much else. For as all as I know, you're shooting bugs in a drawer or whatever the hell. But yeah, so gameplay, absolutely stellar. You use the joystick to move around, which you can actually move around forward. You can move forward, you can move side to side, just like Galaga and Galaxian. But there is something pretty legitimate, and that is the ability to move in reverse. This is something that you don't see too often from games in this era. The thing that actually did this was actually Gapolis 3, in the same vein anyway, but that was years later, and by that point other games were starting to do that too. This was years later. And it works absolutely great. The only thing is that you have to watch out because the screen does loop, so you do have a chance of ramming into enemies just unexpectedly, which, I mean, I did that a couple times, and I'll tell you right now, this game is really difficult. But yeah, so besides a shoot and a move button, you do have an extra button. What does that button do, you might ask? That button allows you to warp. So the warp is absolutely essential in this game. The warp really helps, especially when you're in a lot of life or death situations, or when you are surrounded by goddamn shots and someone's trying to snipe you from across the goddamn screen, which does happen, by the way, because the enemies do shoot, from what I've noticed, three types of shots. They are a slow shot that'll linger onto the screen until it disappears, a medium speed shot, which you will see just coming towards you, and they will goddamn fucking snipe you. Yeah, they'll goddamn snipe you. And let me tell you right now, that's happened to me a couple times during my playthrough of this game, and especially when you're on like the last 5 enemies of the stage, it is absolutely infuriating to be sniped. Like, no other. It is so goddamn infuriating. So, the warp works absolutely stellar. Difficulty in this game is not that bad. The first stage is essentially just a demo, just to show you how to play the game. The only thing it doesn't teach you is the warp. The only signal that you get to have a warp is actually on the top right corner of the screen where it says warp equals 3, which is how many warps you have in the game. Which, I should actually say, you actually have that amount of warps per wave, so you can't stack them, they don't carry over or anything like that. They are super necessary, especially on the later stages, as I mentioned, where the goddamn enemies shoot smaller enemies at you, that shoot at you, and they can snipe you, and they chase you all around the map. And that is not rad, but it does lead to a lot of really intense gameplay. Just, this game, super easy to pick up and play, difficult to master. Honestly, I can't really fault this game on a lot, especially for being such an early arcade game. I would definitely say, if you ever see it out anywhere in an arcade, I would say play it, but I'm pretty sure Konami does not give a damn about this series anymore, which, I mean, come on, from what we've all seen, Konami kind of stopped giving a damn about a lot of their series. I mean, why, Konami? We just want to play your games, man. But yeah, anyway, as I mentioned before, this game is available on literally 2 computers, which are vastly out of date. So, I'm just going to say go ahead and emulate it, because I'm pretty sure you're not going to find this anywhere. Emulate the hell out of this game. Play it. It is absolutely worth at least 5 minutes of your time. Because once you get in those 5 minutes, you're going to be goddamn hooked. This game is absolutely radical. So guys, without further ado, I definitely say play it. And remember guys, this is Jemmy. Stay absolutely radical, guys. Thanks for tuning in.
Huh?